through for to the second ascertaining the chiefs and people of the region. I wish to warmly welcome you all to Kumasi and wish you a fruitful celebration at this conference under the theme consolidating the gains of the transport sector through effective integration. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, one challenge that has been identified in governance which needs serious attention is the issue of collaboration of sectors of government at the national level. The lack of collaboration impedes proper coordination of activities, and therefore implementation at the regional and district levels are seriously affected. Thus, even more worried when there was no collaboration and cooperation between agencies within the same sector, like the transport sector.
I make these remarks on behalf of my sector minister, the Honorable Christian Makwata, who would have loved to be here for another equally important national assignment. I consider it a great honor to deliver these short remarks at this year's Transport Sector Review Conference. Forums such as this offer us the opportunity to review our performance, dialogue with key stakeholders, and synergize our efforts as transport sector ministries towards achieving the vision of His Excellency, the President, and the aspirations of our citizens for the transport sector as encapsulated in our medium-term strategic plans and the transport sector policy. The theme for this conference, I quote, consolidating the gains of the transport sector through effective integration, unquote, captures not only the essence of the achievement of the sector, but also re-emphasizes the need for greater collaboration among sector players towards attaining a well-integrated and efficient transport system that is a catalyst for our economic and social development.
Thankfully, with the easing of the restrictions, we have an opportunity to meet and interact with transport sector ministries and agencies to review our performance. Indeed, like I said, my first participation was 2018 in Takrady. At best was in the hotel. At that meeting, we had the opportunity to interact with our development partners and also put before them the challenges that was facing and still facing. And today, we had the opportunity of bringing before them the issues for me that we all need to look at it. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the theme for this year's conference, consolidating the gains of the transport sector through effective integration, underscore the importance of integrating our transport system for much needed efficiency and optimization. The team reaffirmed government commitment to promote intermodal transportation in an integrated manner to ensure efficient, safe, reliable, and environmental sustainable transport system.
My good friends, ladies and gentlemen, you all agree with me that the transport sector plays a very critical role in every country's socio-economic development. And there is no way a country can develop without any aggressive attempt to pay a special attention to its transport sector. Sustainability in terms of growth of every country has this partial index derived from the transport system. It is interesting to note that currently the government under His Excellency and in accordance with our master railway plan has decided to migrate from the narrow gauge to a standard gauge. The constructions of 22-kilometer Kojokrum to Manso sections of the Western Line, which commenced in 2018 with funding by Government of Ghana, is currently about 65% complete. The project is expected to be fully completed and handed over by the contractor, Amandi Holdings Limited, in the second quarter of 2022.
Development and regional connectivity on the economic performance of the country have been tangible. Development partners have, through various projects such as the Abidjan-Lagos Trade Facilitation Project by the World Bank, the West Africa Growth Ring Corridor master plan by JICA, and the Kotoka International Airport Terminal 3 by the African Development Bank have helped to solidify these unique positions Ghana holds. We would like to emphasize the need for maintaining the momentum of development partners by further expanding and strengthening of partnership between governments, development partners, the private sector, and other key stakeholders.
Rural transportation, the linkage between produce and markets should be noted. I've believed that already. Rural transportation. Other than that, all that we are doing about industrialization will turn out to be the ones who are sabotaging the process. Rural transportation. Intra-country access. The arteries were put in way back by Godgesburg, and we are followed same virtually. So our journeys are always not south. We're still facing huge deficit in terms of the east-west linkages, and we have to look at that. Sub-regional and African-wide transport. This is an opportunity everybody is talking about. Okay? So how are we taking advantage of that, given the position where we are now? If we want to be the sub and the hub of West Africa, how are we taking advantage of this? Then the 2063 is hammering that. The whole NEPAD arrangement is towards that.
The 3 sector ministries. Now, when we had a conference last year, we were 4 sector ministries. Now we are 3: Ministry of Roads and Highways, Ministry of Transport, and Ministry of Railway Development. Ministry of swallowed up, Ministry of Aviation. And we had 5 active DPs during the 3 years under review, and we have selected key stakeholders who also are part of our activities. Sections along highway corridors to allow for safe overtaking. This was reported as ongoing, and the Special Ministerial Committee on Road Safety also recommended this to the Minister. Introduce intelligent transport system in traffic management, and it was reported that Accra Transport Management Center is operational. Facilitate the development of rest stops through PPP along major highways to facilitate adherence to mandatory rest periods for drivers. And we didn't get any report, so this is yet to start. Promote and deploy more women drivers in public transport services. This was asked for in terms of safety, and this is ongoing. About 100 women have been trained already. Pilot free distribution of helmets for motor riders. This is yet to start. I think they have been commended already. All their actions are underway. So expand the online services, facilitate the development of vehicle test centers, ensure reduction in human intervention in driver licensing and registration, introduce simulators, ensure that centralized vehicle database is developed and operational. And all these are being done by DVLA.
I also note the fact, please let's clap for them.
51 kilometers advance. terms of the new standard gauge that we are currently undertaking, the statistics here I have is cumulative, and so it's year on what we do in total. You see, in 2019, that is, although most of the work was started in 2018, in terms of the actual tracks that were laid, we started laying tracks in 2019 on sections of the Tema and Pakadam line, which is about 23 kilometers. In 2020, we added more tracks, 80 kilometers, and then 2021, currently we have laid about 102 kilometers of new standard gauge tracks on the western line and also on the Tema and Pakadam line. In terms of the percentage, I've broken them down here. Project broke to a shape which is just 5 kilometers. As of 2019, we have done 68.4% of the works. A shape to Mansus, which is 17 kilometers. As of 2019, we have completed just at the 3% completion stage. Then on the Tema and Pakadam, which is about 97.7 kilometers.
The timeline, because the Ministry of Trade and Industry is establishing an industrial park and a special economic zone around Guangra. And for this to be a well thought through project to attract investments and private sector into that area, there's a need to have a railway line that will connect Accra to Guangra, Takoradi to Guangra, and then to the port, which will facilitate their activities when they are located in this area. So I wanted to know how soon will this project see the light of day. Thank you.
I saw a slide where you indicated your desire to increase your haulage to about 1 million tons. And what I want to find out is it that the product is already available or to be transported, or you are hoping that it will be available?
Had a couple of years ago happened to be encroachment. We haven't heard much about how you have solved the encroachment problem. Number two is, if you think about the roads, now we have the Road Safety Authority. If you go to aviation, you have aviation safety, the commissioner here, but we haven't heard much about your safety plans. But the very moment you begin to bring in this infrastructure, you'll find people moving towards it to start their normal hawking and all that. In recent times, we came across a death, I think some casualty. And so how are you also planning to protect human life within the corridors? Thank you.
Regional Maritime University is the university mandated to train and educate mariners. That's by providing maritime education and training. And this institution is governed by 5 countries after the regionalization of the Ministerial Conference of West and Central Africa. And the countries are Ghana, Liberia, the Gambia, Cameroon, and Sierra Leone. Thank you.
Training. So in a year, we're talking about almost close to 1,000 civil engineers alone, or civil engineering professionals alone, before we talk about all the others who play a role in the industry. So there is scope for us to look at capacity building in general and what the industry can do to help academia to train the people better and so that we can work better. So if we want to build excellent transport systems, not only infrastructure, because we've heard a lot of presentations about infrastructure and what we are doing and all of that is very good, fantastic. But a few years from now, most of these things may not be in the shape that we want, but there will be people. And the people are the ones who are going to run the system, maintain the system, upgrade the system. Mind you, we are in an industry that is changing rapidly because of technology.
Becoming the best in the aviation sector and so forth. Yes, when it comes to the critical aviation training, which borders on safety and security, which is what our industry runs on. We are self-sufficient to the extent that we have a learning and development training center that other people from the same region come for training. But that's not all. I also indicated that we are supposed to be a trust for socio-economic development. To do so, we need to go beyond the core airport or the aeronautical business. You may recall that in 2018, a critical item that was, or a critical action item that was defined for Ghana Airports Company was that we have to expand our non-aeronautical revenues. To do this, we need to develop aviation-related infrastructure such as MROs, maintenance, repair, and overhaul of aircraft, ATOs, aviation training organizations to train pilots, air hostesses, and the likes.
Has done a good presentation for all engineers of various professions to hear them out. Most of the KNUST engineering graduates and even researchers like myself from the Building and Road Research are very happy with the GHI platform because during conferences we are able to showcase most of the research that we have done, and we are able to even convince most of the industry people who come on how it can help us solve most of the transportation or any other engineering problems we have. Indeed, we are able to mentor most of these students that complete their courses, their university degrees, and even incorporate them easily into the industry.
Where we interview candidates to join us, as consultants, trainees. One of the things that I have found, well, you see, what happens is that in the beginning we do not really, care so much about certain competencies because we believe that when they come on board, they'll be trained in what I call the Akon University. Akon has a training guide, and I just bought a copy here. It says Manual of Professional Practice, and in this manual we have various elements of training for fresh graduates. However, one thing that I have found out is that, and this is what probably will be a feedback to the universities, there is too much of theoretical training devoid of skill development. So a lot of these guys come in and they lack what we call employable skills. Technology is, and Prof made mention of it, the technological use or the use of technology for engineering practice is now way ahead. And I was telling Linda this morning that when I joined Akon, this Wahan to Road was being designed, and they had these large sheets. Okay, so you had the survey guy putting in these points, and later on they will put alignment. But today you can design 5 kilometers of road in a day. How do you do that? You do that through technology. But then if the student is not armed with at least a knowledge of these emerging technologies, and it comes into the industry, you will need to take time to train them and to mentor them. Unfortunately, a lot of these guys, by the time they get a little bit of knowledge, they are ready to jump ship to look for greener pastures. So for us as industry players, we would want them to come in with employable skills, the use of technology, the understanding of engineering principles. A lot of these guys come in and all they probably did in school was to get marks and get, the chew pass or what, the pour pass and forget.
Such provisions in Eastern Corridor Project Phase 1. The component that is supporting the transport sector working group is not just for the conference. There's a research component, and then there's an administrative component. So it's up to the ministry to then tell us that this is the research that we want to do. In fact, if I've had a discussion with you whether we want to take an individual consultant, we haven't elaborated on it yet, but the project is not completed. So there is a component in there for research, and such things are what can be suggested for the fund to be used for. So I don't know about my other...
on anything. Well, let's start off by trying to define the concept of intermodal transport. What exactly
is it that we are discussing? What does it really mean? And I believe that if you look in the dictionary, you'll find so many definitions. And even in industry, I think there are quite a number of definitions, depending on which perspective you are coming from. But I would like to propose a definition which we can work within the context of our transport, the transport sector. And that is the shipment of cargo and the movement of people involving more than one mode during a single seamless journey.
I guess there are two main, the benefits or the synergies of intermodal is obvious, as you explained earlier. But there are two main challenges that currently we are facing. Basically, the lack of adequate coordination among the sector's agencies. What I may call tunnel vision mandate. Okay, so for example, Ghana Railway Development Authority has the mandate to develop the railway infrastructure. That is our mandate. But we need to broaden our mandate to cut across the sector to be able to achieve the intermodal benefits of synergy. Now, the second challenge is basically the funding methodologies. Okay, GOG funding or any project funding is typically tied to a single transport mode independently. So the road sector is doing their own thing, the railway sector is doing their own thing, the airport sector is doing, the airlines are doing their own thing, so the airport sector is doing their own thing, and the ports are also doing their own thing. So we do not end up benefiting from the synergies of the intermodal transport system.
From my side, I can see institutional challenges as well as planning challenges. I know in the past, I think we had Ministry of Roads and Transportation. I think in the past that we found all the modes there. So we get the transport sector ministries changing alongside with the political governance. Just recently, aviation is back to Ministry of Transport. 4 years ago, they were decoupled from Ministry of Transport. So the institutional challenges, we all plan in silos. I think when I was asked to sit on this panel discussion, that's where it struck me that we plan independently. We all do things independently. Yesterday, the Director General of NDPC spoke about the sector medium-term plan. We have submitted our sector medium-term plan to NDPC.
In as much as the interministerial group is good, and it was very helpful, because as they provide leadership to us, I think planning or intermodal planning must be looked at in two ways. Nationally, for which reason we are here, and also regionally, and if possible, district-wide. Because let me start from the regions. If you have a regional plan, and you are building infrastructure in the region, you are expected to assist in making the region as competitive as possible in terms of the advantages that the region has. It is the people and administrators in the region who know where they want to connect and what potential they want to unearth. It will be good to have all agencies at the regional level put together their plans and see where the linkages are or are not, so that they can fashion that out and make sure that whatever it is that we want to do in the next 3 years is very beneficial to the region. At the national level, yes, we can have a railway line from the north to the south and also interacting with our national highway routes and make sure that there are potential transfer locations along the line. But that is in terms of Ghana on a global scale. But But I think the details will be in the regional planning. If it comes to the roads, the 3 road agencies should be able to have a regional transport plan, a regional road development plan, together with the Ministry of Transport, whoever their representatives are, meet and see what it is that they are doing. We have planned this Buangra Inland Port for over 2 decades. And so have we planned the Kumasi Outer Ring Road. They are in very close proximity. In fact, I'm told that the Ministry of Trade is also planning an industrial estate very close. There is every opportunity now to link all these and make it beneficial to each other so that we don't double spend, number one, and number two, the little that we spend, we have the full benefit of it. Thank you.
So I would like each of the panelists from their perspective and where they sit to discuss how an integrated transport infrastructure can be achieved. Thank you.
Trade-related infrastructure is an important aspect of trading. Even if we remember the World Trade Organization Ministerial Conference in Singapore in 2018, there's 4 issues came up for discussion at the WTO level. They were talking about trade and investments, trade competition, government procurement, and then trade facilitation. But after over 20 years, the only issue that have been concluded fully is on trade facilitation. Of North America, we have just about 43%. Africa is lacking in this intra-trade among ourselves. Why? Because of the numerous challenges.
Under Regulation 157 of the Road Traffic Regulation 2012 LR 2180, which is designated as spot fines. So we are developing a system where if you infringe on the traffic rules and regulations, there are modalities through which you'll be fined, and at the end of the day, you pay a penalty. It is going to be digitized. That is why we call it e-policing or e-traffic law enforcement. That one is also in collaboration with the DVLA, where we collect data
ordering and also to do the widening or the continuation of the lake road. However, even though we saw it as the Kumasi Roads and Drainage Extension Project, there are other complementary aspects or infrastructure that have been added onto this project, like what you said. Under the Kumasi Roads Drainage Extension Project, which is 36.5 million, a whole 1 million euros was used in the construction of a terminal. And the terminal it's not only just to facilitate movement of cars or pedestrians, but also in the terminal you have banking services, you have a police station, you have a small place for a crèche. You understand? You do this with the realization that you're not only addressing the issue of congestion on that corridor,
Kumasi area. This is a concept that is yet to be developed. In fact, we've done the necessary feasibility
completed here, we anticipate to start the construction from next year. So as part of the program of the department, we are developing the arterial roads to meet the outer ring road. So this is one of such projects there. Kumasi Roads and Drainage Extension. The Coca-Cola, from Kumasi Junction where we are. Highway, this is what we're doing now. Highway is also continuing to the end of the greater and the outer ring road. So that's the project concept. The primary objective of this project, we set to ourselves have 4 targets to meet. This to increase mobility and reduce congestion on the arterial road. Please have you all had your copies of your We also hope to enhance the safety, especially of pedestrians on this particular. So the challenges that we've had so far, the major challenge that we've had on this project so far is the acquisition or getting the right of way. Funding has been made available, but the major problem is you make offers, the PAPs fail to accept it, then you need to go through the processes of negotiation, which has taken so much time.
And the project scope involves the building of a terminal to take care of 800,000 throughput per year, and it includes a car park, fire station, and then air traffic control. We also have 2 aprons to take care of
through deepening of integration efforts with other relevant agencies to the benefit of the citizen. The 3-day conference was attended by 130 participants drawn from the various transport sector ministries and their agencies, development partners, representatives from Parliamentary Select Committee on Roads and Transport, National Development Planning Commission, Ministry of Finance, professional bodies, academia, and other stakeholders. The Ashanti Regional Minister, Honorable Simon Osei-Mensah, delivered the welcome address. There were remarks delivered by the Minister of Transport, Honorable Pebu Forie-Siama, the Minister of Railway Development, Honorable Peter Amewu, the Deputy Minister of Roads and Highways, Honorable Stephen Jalula, and the Country Manager of AFDB, Madame Eurisalem Fasika, on behalf of the development partners. The Director General of the NDPC, Dr. K. Mensah Abrampa, delivered the keynote address. He indicated that within the medium-term national development policy framework, government's goal for the transport sector is to deepen modern, integrated, and well-maintained transportation infrastructure as a means to accelerate growth.
Taking the time to prepare and staying through all these 3 days. Pleases me to say that the team, consolidating the gains of the transport sector through effective integration, was seen as appropriate and timely in all the remarks and submissions in the conference. This means that we all are of one accord agreeing to the fact that the sector has achieved a lot, but it is in integration that our efforts will effectively and efficiently benefit the populace. The disconnect between academia and transport industry can be resolved if industry players include students in the design and implementation of projects. Transport industry could also reach out to academia to assist in coming up with innovations to resolve issues in the sector. I was certainly impressed with the passion in the submissions of both academia and industry players in identifying the areas of collaboration, and I believe the actions agreed will be followed through as stated. With regards to collaboration among the sector ministries, I wish to assure this August gathering that we will pursue the agenda of integration and institutionalization, inter collaborative actions which will be sustained through consistent monitoring and evaluation. The benefits of intermodal transport are enormous. However, funding methodologies, institutional and planning challenges leading to the inadequate intermodal transport will be critically looked at as transport sector. The sector ministries will work to integrate the sector medium-term plans to avoid duplication or conflicting of developmental efforts.
So in our next quarterly meeting, we have to vote between MOT and Ministry of Roads and Highways who is going to take the secretariat. It just helps you to also get involved more, and doesn't look like the Ministry of Roads and Highways is the only ministry that is involved in the sector working group. So we will vote on that. And then I would like to also say thank you to all of you for staying the 3 days. It's not usual to see the room so full on the second and the third days, and we've all been very good participants.